That feeling. Always something else to do. And speaking of something else to do, we have this to do right here, which is something we called
Insert title here.
the show that changes name so frequently. We put a placeholder in, and luckily the buttons are ready to go because Brian just rolled in.
Yeah.
Now I send the link out to, let's see. Well, I send the link out to Brian 3 different ways, and then I send the link to Gothard, and then I send the link to Lulu, and then I send the link to Sir Mars, and then I send the link to the Dark Elf. So that's, let's see, Brian, Gothard, Dark Elf, Lulu, Sir Mars. That's 5 people that get the link, and I make an effort to get that link out by 7:30 the latest to give a nice half-hour pre-show time slot there. But
Or
So-
only.
whoa, there's something wrong with your sound. It's like something's canceling it out. Wow, that's awful. Oh, that sounds much better. The breathing, I could tell that something changed. So try talking.
Oh, well, I wonder.
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
All I did is open up the setting,
Huh.
but it appears to be right. It says Logitech wireless. So hey, this should
Yeah.
be tapping the crap out of your.
Okay. Yeah. Something. I think it decided that your voice was background noise. It needed to filter out, and
Well,
and
background noise, isn't it?
well, like StreamYard's intelligence said, Brian's talking equals background noise. Let's filter that out. And although I don't know, they should filter.
And I think this thing has a noise canceling capability, right?
Right. Well, it's kind of like
Well, now it's not working, right?
it's basically, keep in mind, many people use like things like Zoom and all the video conferencing. I mean, you got people on phones, you got people on tablets, you got people on laptops, you got a variety of different levels of cheap microphones in loud environments, and they have to make a product that is functional for end users that don't know what they're doing using equipment that is crap. And so that is driven by modern noise cancellation technology to, get rid of like loopback, get rid of background crowds. But that intelligence is only so intelligent because there's no intelligence. It's a machine.
Right.
And so the first thing I do is
You're about to kill us.
I shut that off because I know what I'm doing. I don't introduce noise that you need to cancel, and it causes artifacting that is still good enough to understand text. I mean, to understand speech, the audio version of text. Anyways, point is that I'll be playing, Jackbox games with my in-laws. And Zoom's artificial noise cancellation will at some point go, oh my God, are you in a loud environment? All this constant noise that is being fed through here that's clearly not you talking, we'll mute that all out. And that's how and it's so they're playing the Jackbox game, and all of a sudden, boom, all the sounds muted because it decided Jackbox equals background noise to be filtered out. So that's why I had to turn that setting off. And OX64
if you just joined
here.
us on Twitch, you probably got an ad from NVIDIA or Alienware or somebody like that. Or maybe you got a different ad.
Yeah.
So they're unofficially one of our sponsors.
Unofficially. We see none of that money, but that's okay.
Of course, right. No, we get we get the opportunity to come on Twitch and do something because we don't pay Twitch,
Right.
right?
Right.
Now, with StreamYard, we get that funky little logo up there
And we
because we
paid
don't pay
them.
for it.
Well,
So
well,
our
we
payment is that we're sponsored by StreamYard.
well actually I did pay StreamYard, and so we get
Oh,
a
this is the
more
smaller one,
we
right?
get a
Right.
more
If I
subtle
hosted it,
logo.
I would get the bigger one with the duck.
Yeah, the duck. You get the duck.
How is the duck anything?
Because it goes quack 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 quack. See, I got my duck hunt shirt on. We shot the duck.
64 says good evening.
Yes, good evening indeed. So, Brian, how many holes have you put in the walls and ceilings of your house over the years of home ownership?
Oh my gosh.
Too many to count.
Yeah. I mean, I have owned, including the current houses that I own, I've owned 5.
So, I decided it was time to buy power tool number 2. And
yes, you are becoming an adult.
And
what did you get?
And it number 2'd all over my house. I got I got a reciprocating saw, is what I got.
Oh, to make bigger holes.
To make
Not
holes.
drilling a hole, but cutting a hole.
Right. Well,
you know what? I actually only got a reciprocating saw relatively recently.
Well,
since we got back from Singapore.
Because as you saw, I got to cut,
Is
holes.
it battery powered?
Yes.
We got to know all the details, right? Is it the kind of the pale greenish?
It's red.
Black? Huh?
Red. Craftsman.
Your drill is Ryobi, isn't it?
Right, but Ryobi is a Home Depot brand, and my closest hardware store is a Lowe's. So I did not stick with the Ryobi. So I went Craftsman.
But they use the same battery, which would be the advantage.
That would be the advantage, but then I'd have to drive out to Home Depot.
You could have them send it to you.
I needed it for this past weekend.
Oh, so you had to go get it. How far is that away?
Not that far, just out to Route 1.
You know why your battery keeps dying?
I bought a new battery.
But you know why that battery will be dead?
Why is that?
Because you don't drive your car enough.
Uh-huh.
Particularly now, I mean, it's easy just to stay home, right?
Well, I go grocery
You're not
shopping.
going anywhere.
I go grocery shopping every week.
Once a week, you go out, and how far is that away?
Down the block, about 5-minute drive.
And you think that's going to charge up your battery?
Yeah.
I'm just saying this. Do you have a battery charger plugged in?
No.
Maybe you should get one that does a trickle charge to keep the battery up to snuff.
Brian, I've been doing this weekly drive to the grocery store since March. I've not had any problems.
I understand that, but at some point the battery gives up.
But we're talking about my
the
reciprocating
fact about
saw.
5 minutes ago. Well, I'm talking about Home Depot versus. So you go to Lowe's instead, right? Because that's closer.
Right.
And they closed all the Osh locations all at once because they're fucking bastards.
I don't think there ever was an Osh here, but that's okay.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So I bought the reciprocating saw because, I got to cut these holes for, the light switches and for outlets. And I figure, a saw makes a quick straight cut rather than, whoopa, whoopa, whoopa and making a mess out of things. So I thought the saw would make a nice, tidier, neater cut. So first thing I had to do was I finished up. I got that last outlet in the master bedroom, and I only put 2 holes in the wall and 1 hole on the outside wall to finally get that long drill bit to drill through the
outside. You mean
or
up in the attic?
Well, I was drilling at an angle, because there was that like cross brace inside the wall that was blocking me from getting to the hole I cut for the outlet. So I had the long drill bit, and I came in the wall at an angle, and it's supposed to flex so that you can kind of drill at an angle and get it to go down. And instead of going down and through the support, it went out and through the siding. And
so you didn't drill in from the outside; you drove from the middle of the wall to the outside.
Yes, and it's okay because it's on the second floor.
That hole will just buff right out.
It's on the second floor in the backyard where no one will ever see it. Not to mention the siding of this house already has multiple holes in it because the former owners had DirecTV, and you know how DirecTV has that free installation. Well, let me tell you about that free installation. They don't run any wires through any wall inside any walls. They run wire outside the house, drill holes right into the rooms, and poke the wire right through. And so all the upstairs rooms of this house have these wires that are coming in from the outside that the people that flip the house cut the ends off and just paint the wires when they painted the rooms. So the wires are the same color as the rooms.
So you know what? Let's just be fair, right? You know what Comcast did to my parents' place? This was years ago.
Burned it to the ground?
No.
Mm.
They were going from room to room, and they drilled a hole through a pocket door.
A pocket door?
Yes. They were going to run through the cable through the pocket door, and so it would be locked open.
Okay.
But they didn't put the cable through there. They realized their mistake and went someplace else. I don't think they actually ever told anyone of what they did. They just kind of moved over, drilled another hole, ran their cable, and ignored the fact that they damaged the door.
At some point,
quality service there.
At some point, some guys were putting in a wire or a line in the house I grew up in Hillsborough. And I seem to recall that it went something like this. There was a guy in the basement. There was a guy upstairs. The guy drilled a hole. A guy started pushing wire. And the other guy upstairs goes, "No, I don't see it." And then my mom heard the rustling of, grocery paper bags from the pantry. And she...
Congratulations, you got into the closet.
And to the day we moved out of that house, the pantry had a hole in the bottom of it that went through to the basement.
Just big enough for rats and mice to squeeze through.
Yeah.
To get at your stuff.
Yeah, that's okay. We had a glue trap for that because you may as well be cruel if you're gonna catch mice. But
why not, right? And you know exactly that you've actually got a mouse because he starts to stink.
Well,
Let's see, is some food gone bad? Well, we weren't going to eat that anyway.
We actually never caught anything in the glue trap. The only thing we ever caught was we caught a few mice in the snap traps in the basement.
That's always fun.
Yeah. That's more. Well,
mice are easy. I mean, I've caught some dead rats, and they can be gross.
Yeah. But anyways, so I finish up the master bedroom and I run the next wire over to the record room. And I get over there and, what I need to do in the record room is I need to get the light fixture off the ceiling, cut a hole in the ceiling for a fixture box because when these lights were put in...
By record, you mean...
The room I keep my phonograph records in.
Right. Your media room.
Right. Now... At the time that the electric was put into this house, it was perfectly acceptable to just drill a small hole from the attic into the ceiling, pull a splice wires onto the knob and tube run that's going around the attic, and just tie that right into the light fixture with little twist knobs and put that on the ceiling, and Bob's your uncle. There's no need for, any enclosure boxes for this connection back then. That wasn't done back then. But today, any time you twist some wires together, it's got to be inside a box of some sort, or So basically, what I got to do to all the light fixtures on this floor is saw a hole into the ceiling that fits the fixture box and get that in there. Well, the light fixture in the media room is right under a beam, also known as a place that a fixture box won't fit. So the spot.
You cut the beam.
No, I didn't cut the beam.
Oh, okay.
But the point is that there's this like metal plate and this worn spot of the ceiling, and I can't cover it with the light fixture because I got to move the light fixture over to where I can cut a hole and fit a fixture box. So already I got to cut a more ceiling than I want it to. And so I get my reciprocating saw and I start running it and I start cutting the ceiling. And plaster just kept falling and falling and falling and falling. This thing is Satan's reciprocating saw. It just destroys any plaster within a 5-mile radius of its shaking.
It shakes things to bits.
Yeah, because it's the ceiling.
Nice.
The ceiling is lath and textured plaster, and that's it. So you start shaking that plaster and you start shaking that lath, and it just shakes more plaster off of the ceiling until it's just a fucking mess. And I got to pull up some pictures that I sent Dune of what happened here. So there we go. We'll go ahead and. All right, let's see. Share screen, application window. There we go. Share. So that is what my ceiling looked like when I was done with the reciprocating saw. And as you can see, I kind of got a half circle going over there, but it's still straight over here. I got to cut more lath on the right side of there to get it more circular so I could finish fixing my box in there. But you ever try cutting lath that's already cut? It just keeps shaking more plaster.
I've never had a house. I talked about these numbers of houses I've half owned in the past. I've never had lath and plaster.
Oh, it's awful stuff. Absolutely awful stuff.
Yeah.
It is absolutely
Our friend Nick prefers
horrible.
it.
Well, he can have it. He could come here and fix this for me. Well, our friend Nick pays people to do this. So
well, then that's what I would be doing.
I save my money for my records. Yeah. But then again, programming is a skill that pays more than turning it off and back on. Right. But yeah, so that's what's going on with the ceiling, and I still got to cut a little bit more.
You should get a commission for setting people up.
Yeah.
Right. Or give me a tip and I'll set you up next.
So that's.
You think you'd get in trouble if you did that?
I think so. So that's what the saw. That's what my new power tool did to the ceiling. Now here's the next part of the story.
Did you save all the pieces?
It's dust.
It didn't come out in chunks.
I
can see a chunk hanging down.
Well, yeah, but I'm not going to put all those chunks back together. That's garbage. That's not useful.
No, you glue it back up there, and then you do minor plastering to set it up. Oh, but one thing that you can get to fix this problem,
it's mostly. Go ahead.
You've got a huge hole in the wall. Actually, turn your screen off so
ceiling.
People can see. Turn your shared screen off. It's okay. So what you need is they can get this huge disc that's flat. Probably called a medallion or something like that the fixture can go on, and that covers all that crap.
Dune suggested that, but this room doesn't need a medallion.
See, Dune's a smart guy.
That would look out of place. That would look a bit weird, but it is an interesting idea. So here's the next problem. So okay, all right. We destroyed the ceiling.
Or you get a hunk of drywall. I mean, a lot of places you can just get a 4x4, right? and build a frame around it, slap that on the ceiling, and it's like a tray ceiling.
So here's the next thing. So I need to cut a hole for the light switch. So I measure where the light switch is going to go. I draw an outline on my box. Now that one should be pretty,
And you're going to share another picture, right?
Right. Well, here's what happened. So I drill that hole, and that hole's going great. The saw is cutting. I cut the saw on the other side, and it's going nice and smooth. And I'm like, oh my God, finally I found something that this saw can do properly without destroying.
Now, have you been actually using different saw blades to see which one works best?
It came with one. And so
it came with what? Did you buy any extra ones?
No. I only need one saw.
No, they have different teeth set up.
Well,
so one is for cutting metal. One is cutting fine wood, so it has very fine teeth. And you got something that will cut like a 2x4.
Well,
you want big teeth, so
this
it'll
is
just
a reciprocating saw. It came with this reciprocating saw blade. So I'm cutting my wall, right?
You can get more than one blade with different functions.
So I'm cutting my wall, right?
Saying.
So I'm cutting my wall, right?
He uses only the original blade. I have never bought a saw that I accepted the fact there's only one blade. I always got other blades.
So I'm cutting my wall, right?
Yes.
And all of a sudden...
Oh, I know what you're going to do. This is what. So you got that saw, and since you got it for this one project, when you're done, you're just going to return it.
No.
Okay. All right.
So
continue with your story before I interrupt you again.
So I'm cutting the wall, right?
Yep.
And I'm making a nice smooth cut up and down, another smooth cut up and down. I'm cutting across.
And you cut the wire?
Well, even if I did, that wouldn't matter because the power's turned off and I'm not reusing the wire. And as I'm cutting, I hear the sounds of clunk, clunk, clunk. And at first I thought, did Kristen knock something off her desk by accident? But then this keeps happening, clunk, clunk. I'm like, is this saw
You know shaking? What this was? This was the money pit workings collapsing.
No, that's not what this was. This was the wall on the other side of the wall I was cutting also being cut because the saw blade just kept right on working its way over to the other.
How long is your saw blade?
Too long.
Well, I mean, approximately in number of inches.
Yeah, it's got some inches.
Like 10?
No.
Because again, there are different blades. Some of them are very long. Your typical one is about 4 inches.
I overestimated the thickness of the wall. I didn't think I was going to hit the other wall. I didn't feel that I was hitting the other wall. And then I hear all this clonking, and I go over onto the other side of the wall, and there's this hole on the other side of the wall. So now I got to patch that at some point.
You have the picture.
That's up on the screen right now.
Oh! That's very similar looking than the.
Yeah, this is not the hole I cut for the light switch. This is the other side of the wall that I was cutting.
Right. Did you want a light switch in there?
No.
Perfect opportunity to do that.
That is, isn't it? That is.
Or you could put in an extra outlet. Of course, who wants one that is
at the height of a light switch outside? Yeah. I mean that'd be maybe if I put like a I don't know, maybe that's where I hang. Maybe I hang our wedding picture there.
Oh, see, you got a Why do you have it against the corner of the? Is that a corner of a door frame there?
That's the side of a door frame. Right in the middle. Right.
But you've got a good. You need a snappy answer for that.
Light switch height. Because that's where the hole is.
No, snappy answer. Yes,
that's my idea of a snappy answer. Why'd you put that picture there?
Well, no, that's actually the truth. You're supposed to be. It's supposed to be a lie.
Oh, well, right? The truth could be snappy.
Possibly.
Anyways, so that is power tool number 2. So yes, it just destroys
Well,
plaster.
congratulations on power tool number 2.
Thank you. I'm not feeling too good about it. Uh,
So,
it's been a huge mistake.
so Adafruit is an outfit that sells electronic stuff, mostly kind of computer-related projects, Raspberry Pi, Arduino, and these kind of things,
Hmm.
sensors and stuff like this. And they also sell something that looks like a merit badge that indicates the skill. Okay.
Okay.
So if you do some coding with Python, you get a badge for that. If you have a Raspberry Pi, you get a badge for that. If you have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So now you have 2 badges. One is for the power drill, and the other is uh, for the circulating saw.
Well, it's not
Oh,
circulating;
and
it's reciprocating.
reciprocating saw. Sorry,
Well,
and you could get a third one for cleaning up the mess.
well. What about badges for all the electrical outlets I've installed without burning down the house? I think that's worth
Oh, yes.
something.
See, look at that. See, now we're getting creative.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that is totally.
Absolutely.
I, I
I agree with that.
I have put 4 electrical outlets in this house that are 2 of them are rewiring outlets that were already
Do you
existing.
think an outfit like Lowe's or Home Depot should offer skill badges?
I b- possibly. So anyways, I just need to deal with the ceiling and getting that sawed the rest of the way and getting that fixture box in there and putting that light fixture back together and patching up the ceiling, and I'll be done with that room. And I'll be done with that circuit. And then it's time to pull another line from the basement for the circuit for Kristen's room, and that will be the next project.
Or is it the next phase of the same project?
The next phase of the same project.
Right.
But
How many shall we say how many projects are there or how many rooms are there?
well, there's 4 rooms, but I've put 2 rooms on one circuit because the master bedroom and
Yeah.
the media room are not that heavily used, whereas Kristen and I are both running computers. I've got a stereo system in here. We have window air conditioning units, so I'm going to put each of our rooms on its own separate circuit. So that'll be 3 circuits to service the upstairs.
Oh, I see.
So I'll pull a new
So
line
each air
from the
conditioner will be on its own circuit
right.
with the crap that you're going to be doing.
Right. Each room will
Okay.
have its own circuit for my office and Kristen's office, and the master bedroom shares a circuit with the media room.
So you have modern air conditioners that are very efficient.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know how many amps they draw?
No, but I know that
You know, the unit will say that on it.
I'd have to pull that up and look at that, but I know that it's never tripped any of our breakers here, and on top of that, one of the summers the first summer I was here, I actually ran the 2 window units in the upstairs on the knob and tube, and I didn't burn down the house.
Oh,
Actually-
yeah. Cool.
Actually, I gotta say, the wire in the attic is in very good shape. It is in very good shape. There's
The
no
knob and tube wire.
yeah. It's 14 gauge copper wire with a fabric coating, and it's a solid copper core. So it's basically the same stuff that's in the Romex wiring. It's just that it has a very old fabric coating on it, and that fabric coating is not showing any signs of wear or cracking or deteriorating.
And that would be the thing. I wonder what the useful life of the fabric coating is as compared to the use of life of a plastic coating on wires.
And I think the big thing is that modern Romex wiring is rated to handle much higher temperatures than even Romex wire from the 80s or the 90s. It's
Yeah.
because there was a video I was watching. Ask This Old House is a good series to watch if you want little small bite-sized jobs, because This Old House is about a big project and watching, This Old House back in the day with Bob Vila used to be sweat equity to do a major renovation on your own house and hire professionals to do certain parts.
Like other shows today that are doing that as well. But yeah.
And This Old House evolved into basically watching a bunch of contractors do stuff that is more than you'd probably ever take on your own. The Bob Vila era of This Old House was a more useful show to watch.
Sure.
Modern This Old House is just entertainment. But
your typical home, say Property Brothers or House Hunters renovation, et cetera, they're also usually using contractors.
Yeah,
rather than doing DIY.
They're entertainment. This Old House started out as a DIY type of show to watch.
Because it's PBS, you're supposed to learn something.
Right, but it morphed into just watching contractors doing professional work, not how to save money by buying a house and DIYing parts of it. Which is still an entertaining show, but it doesn't really help you if you want to DIY. Now, Ask This Old House is a good show because it shows little projects and little chunks. It'll have three or four segments on a show where they pull in a professional to someone's house and shows them a little job, and they even help them out. And it's the type of stuff you could do on yourself. So that's very useful to watch if you want to learn things you could do around your own house. And there was one segment where the guy called them in because he bought a new light fixture and he saw a warning on the light fixture that said, warning, this, light fixture could be a fire hazard if, you're not meeting all the proper codes or whatever. And so he didn't know. And that's where the guy explained, well, this light fixture is rated to have modern Romex wire connected to it that can handle certain levels of heat. And he said it probably wouldn't be an issue for you because if you're putting in modern LED light bulbs, they're not going to generate that much heat, but you never know what someone's going to put in that light fixture. So he basically cut out the old wire in their crawl space and put in a junction box, and from there joined modern Romex wire over to the light fixture so that what's in the enclosure box feeding the light fixture can handle much higher levels of heat. So that's really the main concern with I think that's one of the main concerns with having older wire in the house is it doesn't have the same heat rating as modern Romex wire has.
Makes sense.
Now I'm not all that concerned because, as time goes on, all these light fixtures have LED bulbs in them. So that old fabric coated wire in the attic, it's not being exposed to extreme heat. Now, it wasn't a good idea to run 2 window air conditioning units over it for a summer, but I didn't know that's what I had in the attic. I think the main concern in the attic is that when they put in a outlet, they basically strip the wire, wrap wrap a new set of wire off of what they stripped, solder it on there, and tape it up with electrical tape. And so there are these areas of wire that's been exposed and taped up, not to mention that really all the grounding on these 3-prong outlets are just being tied into the neutral, because the only thing that's running for power up in the attic is a neutral line and a hot line. There's no ground line running up there. So my grounds on my outlets that are tied into that are just grounding to the neutral, which,
at this point, it would be easy to make that a real ground.
Well, I'm just
grounding it to, say, the electrical box or whatever.
Well, you'd have to run a ground wire in. The neutral is grounded, but it's not a separate ground line.
But at some point, it's easy to make that a real ground. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, it is grounded. It's just that it's not a separate ground line. So if something happens to the neutral, I don't have a safety net of an extra ground line.
Right.
I'd have to run a ground line from the basement up into the attic and then tie that into. But I'm not. I'm ripping it all out, putting in Romex, which is grounded. So, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I'm just saying, what's in the attic, digging more into it, there wasn't anything that was really that unsafe up there. I wasn't seeing cracked wires or cracked fabric coating. It was still 14 gauge copper wire with a still intact fabric coating.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I've not worked my way to the end of that run, so we'll see what I run into as I get into the next two rooms.
Sure.
So,
and for the runs that you have done, I mean, you finished one run, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, I still got to tie in the last light fixture on that run, and I'll be done.
Okay. So other than that, you've been through the whole thing, so you know that all of the old knob and tube wire in that run is gone now, right?
Well, yeah, because
totally disconnected from any reality.
Well, here's the thing. What I locked into was my starting point turned out to be the ending point of the knob and tube wiring. So the light fixture in the master bedroom was the last thing on the end of the line. There was no other wires coming from that to continue on. So I was able to basically clip the wire back to the knobs before it got to that light fixture, and so the circuit just ends shorter.
But you're connected to the knob and tube.
I'm sorry, what? No. Basically, there are two wires that run around the attic, a neutral and a hot, and as they come across the attic, they're going through the tubes, they're going through the beams, and then as they come back towards the master bedroom, they attach to knobs because it's running parallel with the beams. And so basically, when I took out the light, when I disconnected the light fixture, the wires came back to a set of knobs. I just clipped them off of those knobs, and that was that. So now the circuit ends at those knobs. And I'm just working my way back, cutting out wire as I work back.
Right.
So it's only one circuit that's in the attic, one knob and tube circuit that's in the attic, but I'm cutting it back as I take things out, and I'm working my way backwards. So that way, at the end of the day, I could turn that back on and have lights upstairs in all the rooms.
Right.
It's just that, it's like, you could think of it as a railroad line. And, I'm just closing the last station at the end of the line and working my way backwards.
And then when you're all done, you watch YouTube videos on how to plaster.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the thing is, once I'm done with the upstairs, that also ties into all the light fixtures downstairs. So then I got to figure that out. And that means digging into ceilings that I don't have a crawl space above. But I think most of the light fixtures downstairs have fixture boxes over them because they're modern ceiling fans. So really, I just need to, disconnect the wires that are there and fish new wires using, fish tape and cutting some holes in the walls and figure out how to tie that into new circuits and how I'm going to deal with all that. So yeah, the downstairs will be the next
That
phase.
should be easy, although if you have to actually remove the ceiling fan, that can be a pain.
I mostly disassembled one ceiling fan once because at one point one of the ceiling fans was making a scraping sound whenever I turned it on. And yeah, it was annoying. You could take it apart piece by piece. You take all the bulbs out. You take the fixtures over the bulbs. You take that plate off.
Removing each of the fan blades.
Remove each of the fan blades, and I found that basically there was a wire that gravity pulled down into a place where it was rubbing against the fan when it was moving. So it was nothing destructive. It was nothing that was damaged. It's just that it was annoying that the fan was making a scraping sound because this stupid wire. So I had to tuck it back up and put it all back together. So yeah, it's a lot of screws to take out and parts to take apart, but that's, that's
Hey, Dune.
that's a lot more pleasant than, let me tell you, I'm not all that concerned about taking apart the ceiling fans after spending multiple weekends crawling up and down a ladder into the attic multiple times, because I'm doing this by myself. So I'm doing a lot of push the fish tape down, go down the ladder. Nope, fish tape isn't at the hole yet. Go up the ladder, push it down some more, go down the ladder. Oh, there it is.
The only difference is a ceiling fan can be heavy. So the more pieces and parts you remove from it,
right,
before you get into it, the lighter it'll be. Like removing the sand blades, that's pretty. The fan blades.
Yeah.
This one above me, each blade has 3 screws in it if you're taking off that way, or if you take off the bracket as well, that's 2 screws.
It's okay, Brian. I don't foresee any problems with these ceiling fans because I don't have any mattresses that need flipping underneath them. Dune broke a ceiling fan this past weekend flipping a mattress, so that was
that
was
what the hell was that?
that was me being an ass, is what that was.
Oh, Dune, that sounds like it was quite the adventure.
So Dude has a weekend project
was
coming
that a
up.
king size bed, which is bigger than the other sizes?
I'm not,
or queen size.
I know his bed fits 2 people and 5 dachshunds.
Oh, so it's a twin size bed,
or 4 dachshunds, or lots of a pack of dachshunds.
MFer.
Have I told you about crashing at Dune's place? Because I've crashed at Dune's place twice now, although 2 different places. And the second time I crashed at Dune's place, he has a pack of dachshunds, and you make the slightest a pack, yes,
like a pack of wolves.
Well, like one of them barks, they all bark. That's how it works. Somewhere I got a video of them. I need to find.
Oh man, yeah, that sounds like a good one.
Oh man, because it was so entertaining that I decided when I come out of the bathroom I would just film them, because I knew as soon as I opened up the door they'd be all jumping around barking at me. So let's see if I can figure out where I hid that. I've saved so many different phone videos over the years that I've lost track of all of them.
Post it on Twitter when you find it.
That way
everybody can enjoy it.
It'd be useful for telling the story. He says it's like smoke alarms without the smoke. So the point of the story is
that's always fun too.
So I'm sleeping. Kristen and I are sleeping in the guest room, and the guest room is on the lower floor, and so we're on a different floor from Dune and Mrs. Dune and the pack of dachshunds. We got our own bathroom that's just down the hall from the guest room, and so I wake up at like 3 a.m. and I gotta pee, and I gotta pee bad enough that I'm actually not gonna roll over and go back to sleep and deal with it later. So
right, you gotta go now.
The last thing I want to do is cause my good friend Dune, that put me up for a place to sleep overnight, to have him be awoken at 3 a.m. by 4 yapping dachshunds. I don't want to do that to him. I would just feel awful. So I very slowly sit up in the bed. I turn. I very slowly lower my feet to the floor. I transfer weight to my feet to lift myself up from the bed and stand very slowly. No creak. I take steps one at a time, really, really slowly. I put my hand on the doorknob. I turn the doorknob. Oops, that was a gun. I just shot a hole through the... No, wrong. Kidding.
Finger on the trigger.
I did not look for guns because I knew I'd find them if I looked. But
Right,
I just
There was
didn't
probably
look.
one under your.
There was probably
Under
one in
your
the mattress, under the bed. There's
Right.
probably every drawer in the and if there's
right.
if there's
As
a gun
it should be.
and if there's a gun stashed somewhere, you better believe it's loaded. But so
Well, of course. What's the point of an unloaded gun?
exactly, intimidation, Brian. Intimidation. Someone holds a gun to
Exactly.
you. Are you gonna question if it's loaded or not? You're gonna treat it like it is loaded, whether it's not. So all I have to do is
Well, of
carry an
course,
unloaded
right.
gun.
Right.
I know I'm not.
And if you're challenged with another guy that has a gun, like they say, don't bring an unloaded gun to a gunfight.
Well, you see, here's the thing. I would never shoot a gun towards someone. Pretty much, I don't think I ever could bring myself to. So I may as well be holding an unloaded gun. I may as well be holding an unloaded gun, even
It'd
though
be better not to even have one in that case.
I'm
Okay.
with you on that.
Actually,
I'm totally with
dude,
you on that. That
was
is
your
what I.
take on it? Would you go around with an unloaded gun? I mean,
No.
that's foolish.
No, I just not go around with one. But that, whatever. I certainly don't begrudge anyone who chooses to carry one. Be responsible, all that good stuff. So I grab the doorknob. I gently place my hand on the doorknob. I turn the doorknob slowly till it's, and then I slowly swing the door towards me. I take one step into the hallway, 2 steps into the hallway. I gently pull the door closed without really knocking it against the door frame, and slowly turn the doorknob to latch it back in without making a sound. I turn face towards the bathroom. I take 1 step. I take 2 steps. I take 3 steps. The pack of dogs start barking. I'm like, oh!
Failure.
The whole house is now awake to the stupid.
And how many residents of the house were there? There was Dune and the missus.
Dune and the missus, Kristen and I, and 4 dachshunds.
So Dune and the missus came out with their guns blazing.
No. They knew what happened. They were like,
Okay.
oh,
They were probably laughing their butts off.
Gators had to pee.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't know if Dune investigated, because I just continued to the bathroom, closed the door, and peed at that point. And
Right, because you had to go.
Yeah. Now Dune suggested that it might be a normal occurrence to be awoken at 3 a.m. to barking dogs, so that they're kind of used to it. I don't know if that's true or it's just making me feel better, but yeah.
Well, I mean, a dog owner will understand the level of importance.
Yeah.
If it's just a barky, and then it's over, yeah, not a big deal.
Mm.
But if it gets, shall we say, more enthusiastic, I think he would be concerned.
And I still don't know what went wrong. Because here's the thing. I don't know if I think I spent 2 nights there. I don't quite remember. Yeah, we spent 2 nights there, I think. Did I spend 2 nights there? I think I spent 2 nights there. Because the first night I got away with this. So maybe I got a little cocky the second night. The first night
Only when they're going to catch me anyway, just go straight out to it, right?
The first night I got to the bathroom and back without any dogs barking. So I thought my routine work, I got this. But 3rd step down the hallway after closing the door, they all let loose. So I don't know how I got away with it the first night, but there you go.
Here's your mistake. Maybe you should have slept with the door open. That way, the dogs don't think that you're hiding something.
That was it. That was the mistake.
And if they wanted to hop in the bed with you, that would happen. That could happen.
Well, you know what the dogs were really trying to say when they were barking at me.
Hello.
You're a dumbass. You're a dumbass. You're grade A, number one, bona fide, first class. You're a dumbass. You're a dumbass. And you'll be one all your dumbass life. You dumbass.
There we go.
So I saw something, and I don't remember what the guy was actually talking about, but he was talking about, something about his smoke alarm and his CO2 alarm.
Uh-huh.
Hey, dumbass! It's not a CO2 alarm. It's a CO alarm, a carbon monoxide alarm.
Yes. No two.
Because you're going to
Just
always
O.
have CO2,
Yeah.
but you don't want CO. Unless, of course, you're in a spacecraft and you have too much CO2, then that's a problem, and you're going to do something about it.
That could be a problem. So anyways, yeah. Now, Dune recommended a different type of saw to buy to deal with cutting better holes without...
A chainsaw.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes, exactly. No, Brian. A oscillating tool that had those blades that just kind of, I guess, it wiggles back and forth. So that way I don't have to, I go in.
What did you get? I thought you said you got
I got a reciprocating saw.
Yeah, usually that's just a little blade.
Right. Well, he's suggesting getting an oscillating tool.
I don't see that much difference.
No, I'm convinced that this is different.
Yeah.
It's the reciprocating saw pushes the saw forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards, whereas the oscillating tool is wiggling a saw side to side as you push it in the wall.
Okay. See, so what I got was I got a thing that's a multiple tool thing.
Right.
One has the reciprocating saw, and the other has the multiple part with the oscillating device. Yeah, so I know what you mean.
Yeah, I need to
Would
get one
I've
of
used
those.
that instead of the reciprocating saw, if I could say that. That's a good question. Yeah. I would have thought that the reciprocating saw would be, number one, faster and therefore probably easier, but punching the hole through the other side, oops, you did something wrong.
Yeah. You see, this way it just cuts into the wall, and then I stop when it's through, rather than moving down on a blade that's pushing possibly too far.
Now, the oscillating blade will have a cleaner cut if that was your concern.
That too. I mean, clean
that
cut
would be a good reason to use that. Although, like I say, that would be slower. But you kind of go, well, I'm going to have a switch plate on there anyway, so it doesn't have to be that perfect. Although you do have some problems that would have been better if you went the other way.
Well, anyways, I'm going to buy that tool, and I'm going to give that a try, and we'll see what happens this upcoming weekend.
So the one that you got, is that battery powered or is it a plug-in unit?
The one I got's battery powered. The one that Dune recommended from Harbor Tools is
Harbor Freight.
Harbor Freight Tools is a plug-in, which is fine because I have the outlet down the hall and extension cords. So
or you could go back to Lowe's and get a Craftsman model. It'll be better quality.
I'd rather not.
Whatever.
As it is.
Here's my thing here's my problem with Harbor Freight. Now, you're not a contractor, so that's not the issue. If you're a contractor, you would stay away unbelievably. Unless, of course, in that project, you actually had the customer pay for that tool that you're just going to throw away. Because that's what's going to happen to it. You're going to use it a couple of times, and you're going to throw it away because it's a piece of junk. Whereas Craftsman, they stand behind it with that warranty still, right?
Anyways, for the frequency I'm using the tool, it'll serve its purpose perfectly
Sure.
fine. Yeah. So I'll get that. I'm kicking myself.
Or you could do one better. You buy it, you use it, and then you return it.
No, I'm not that dishonest.
Just kidding. Just kidding. I would never do that either. I'd only return it if it was, it is really a piece of junk and I can't actually use it.
Anyways, yeah. So, well, the thing that was really frustrating is I buy this saw to make life easier. The saw was something like $60-$70, but then the battery and charger was like $100.
Yeah.
And now I find out, you should have bought this $40 plug-in tool instead. And it's like, I just spent over $150 and I got to, and now I find out the tool I really want is much cheaper.
But if you're in the backyard working on a shed or you don't have electricity where you're using it, the battery power is a nice feature.
Yeah, hopefully I'll get some more use out of this saw as well in the coming years. We'll see. We'll see how that all goes.
Well, for about 35 years, I didn't have one and I didn't need it.
Okay.
But now that I have it, I like it and I have used it many times.
All right. Yeah, not bad. So, yeah, pivoting to anything else that's going on. You know what? One of the most, I just feel like talking about this. You know what's a very difficult concept to get across to end users when it comes to computer issues?
No, what?
The concept.
Remembering their password?
The concept of, that. But the concept of multiple computers.
Oof.
That's a tricky one.
Yeah, because they they have a tough time with the one computer, right?
Right. Well, but the concept of multiple computer, for example,
Let me ask you this quick question. In this room, which is probably 12 by 12 roughly, how many computers do you think I have that is currently running?
Well, you're using one to do this show.
Yep.
And I think you got at least two other machines off to the side there.
Of course, I have this tablet.
And you got, you got the tablet.
And I've got my cell phone.
You're counting your phone? You're counting peripherals?
Of course, it's a computer.
Okay,
it's a computer.
Cell phone, tablet,
okay.
Computer connected.
I have and my Alexa wake word is the word computer. Hello, computer. Hello.
Alexa, shut up! Alexa, shut up!
Sing a Hanukkah song.
Could you hear that?
Something about singing a Hanukkah song.
Yeah, because it's celebrating.
Yeah,
celebrating Hanukkah. Right.
All right.
Okay. So then I have an iPad Mini.
Okay.
I have an ancient iPad that was my mom's.
Okay.
Then I have. What is that? Oh, it's my old iPhone.
Right.
Then I have an 8-inch Samsung tablet.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have two 7-inch Samsung tablets. Oh no! Wait a minute. Oh! I'm sorry. And I have an iPod Touch. Okay. And then I have this other laptop computer behind the screen there that's running Linux.
Okay.
Okay. And then I have this Sony notebook that is not turned on. And I have this ViewSonic tablet that is not turned on, pretty sure. Who brought the dogs out?
That was Dune, I think. No, I'm just. Anyways, so what does that come to?
Well, you weren't counting when I said that?
No, you were counting.
No, I was just counting them out.
Okay.
Now, there is a display that's from Xfinity that's probably a computer. Should we count that one?
So you've listed all your computers, and you still can't give us a total.
No, I can't. And
You're
then
a
I have,
dumbass. You're a dumbass.
yeah, then I have this other device that monitors my solar panels, which run under Windows, so therefore it's actually a computer. Hello.
Right. But getting back to
Here's a
what?
fun fact about me. I absolutely love fun facts. So much so, I choose a new one to share each day. Just ask me for the fun fact of the day.
Alexa, shut up!
Computer, what's the fun fact of the day?
4 years ago today, geoscientists discovered the oldest water on planet Earth, some 2 billion years old. Talk about a splash from the past. That's all for today, but come back tomorrow and say, what's the fun fact of the day?
No!
So if that water was in a glacier for 2 million years, to make a splash, you would have to be dropping it into water.
So that means the water's now 2,004 years old.
Yeah. Yes. You're a genius.
But anyways, so what I was getting at is a concept that so many end users struggle with is multiple computers. You know, for example,
Multiple computers, yes.
right? Because like you're working on a computer, you open up a remote desktop session and you remote into another computer, and you understand that this window is a completely separate computer that is running somewhere else in a separate environment from the computer I'm actually controlling with the
Are you guys
keyboard.
using Citrix or some kind of VPN software or
Well,
something?
we have Citrix, we have VPN. People remote into desktops that are at their desks, and sometimes you come to realize people are reading instructions and following them to a T, but they don't understand that they're controlling multiple computers at the same time. And it's like, well, how come when I go to print this there, it does, like for example, we have this system that has like documents that are like imaged in there, and there are people that will import those documents into that system by printing to a printer that prints into there. So they might open up that document software in Citrix, and then they'll open up Outlook on their computer, and they'll try to print an email, but how come I don't have my printer to print there? I'm like, well, because those are on two different computers. But I'm using one computer.
So where did you just print your resume?
So it's like, no,
could be embarrassing.
You have to launch the Citrix app for Outlook and use that if you want to be able to print into that system, because those are running on a Citrix server. And that's a difficult concept to get across to someone that doesn't understand it or never really put that together. Right. That when you're remoting into a remote desktop session, you're opening up a window that's controlling another computer.
And
when you're launching a Citrix session, you
get a guy. So guy's logged into Citrix, and he goes to print something, and he sees the list of printers. He says, "Well, where's my printer?"
Right. That too. So that is a difficult. How do you teach that concept? I mean, you can explain it. It's a different computer that you're controlling. It runs on another computer. It's in another realm. It's in and some people just like just tell me how it works.
You know how you know the explanation of a guy's a really a dumbass, and he can't understand what you're saying. Then you say, "Well, it's just magic."
You're a dumbass. You're a dumbass.
I guess I shouldn't sing that song.
Right. So you just come up with the answer, very politely. It's magic.
It's magic. Yeah, you know, yeah.
Don't you like magic? Everybody likes magic, right?
It was
Except for that asshole that just cannot stand Harry Potter.
and today I met the ultimate pinnacle of this problem by having an hour-long conference call that mostly consisted of IT people, that basically the gist of the entire hour was, well, your Citrix session for that is in a different environment than your Citrix session for that. Someone needs to make a Citrix app that's within the same bank of servers so that they could be running on the same server. Took an hour to get to that, even though I identified that about 5 minutes into the call. It was one of these things. A ticket came in for someone that's trying to do something in Citrix that I have nothing to do with. This had to do with testing something that was being developed by another department, and so that department kind of owns the process, and they own the systems that are being there. So I'm not a tech for those systems. I don't support those systems really, but I know Citrix and I support Citrix, which is what they're using to connect to that system. So I decided to be a nice guy and take the ticket and say, well, let me see if you're having any Citrix problems before I pass this along. So that's how my name got in the mix of this.
Right.
I grabbed the ticket. I boot him out.
He had nothing better to do, right?
I'm like, okay, sounds like you got a frozen Citrix session. So I kicked that out. And here's another thing. I don't know what is going on with the people over at Citrix, but they got a major fucking bug in their software that they need to fix like yesterday. For some reason, I'm running into an issue more and more frequently where if people are running Citrix on a computer that has multiple displays and they're at different resolutions, the mouse pointer doesn't line up to where it's displaying the mouse pointer.
Oh, that's a fun one.
Yeah, that is really annoying because I can't figure out how to fix it. And here's the thing, a Microsoft Surface runs at an unusual resolution for the built-in monitor. And then you add an external monitor and it runs at something more standard like 1080p. So it is pretty much, if you're going to use a Microsoft Surface with an external monitor, you're going to run two displays at two different resolutions. That's just how it's going to be unless you intentionally override it, which I guess you could, and that's why I need to do some more troubleshooting. And Dune has it. 3 words. It just works. Well, deal with it. Well, no, it works except for when it doesn't. There are things that don't work that they need to understand the multiple realm. But anyways, so like I said, that Citrix issue is happening, and I got to figure that, because now this person is dealing with troubleshooting or testing this thing that's being developed, and Citrix is fucking up their mouse pointer. And so that gives me more involvement with this test that's not able to be run. And it's like, okay, here's what you do. Disconnect your external monitor and just use the laptop by itself while you're testing this. That will get you functional enough to work around that issue. I'm working on it. I need to get enough evidence to consistently recreate it so I can call up Citrix support and go, okay, do you have a Microsoft Surface? Okay. Do you have a monitor? Okay. Do this, do that, do this. Now, please explain to me what the fuck your dev team is smoking. I'm working to get to that point, but
right.
It's going to take me some time to get there because I've not been able to faithfully recreate the problem on my computer. I have multiple end users that all they have to do is look at a computer and they create the problem. But me, I can't make the problem happen easily, so I don't know what they're doing. That's another thing. So she, launches a Citrix app for this thing, and she's like, I need to test that. It connects into our other system. She opens up an Internet Explorer window, logs into this site, and clicks on a link, and it says, well, you need to open up that app before you click this link. And she's like, but I already have it open. And I'm like, you open Internet Explorer on your computer. You launch that app in Citrix. They're on two different computers. And we proceed to spend the next, 50 minutes going around in circles about that. And it's like, wait, has no one ever tested this before? Is there no published Internet Explorer app for that particular Citrix environment?
Right.
Citrix is awful. God awful stuff. I hate Citrix. I hate Citrix so very much.
Well, more people are using it since people are working from home, right?
I think Citrix, my attitude towards Citrix is it's a rather outdated way to do things. But then again, VPN is becoming a rather outdated way to do things too. VPN isn't even considered all that secure anymore.
So what would you use?
I think more often people are moving towards some kind of cloud-based VM type of environment.
Okay.
Well, Dune, the reason why testing is being done is because the dev team is developing a new version of this site that will be compatible with IE and Chrome. But the current version is compatible in IE, and even though they're recreating parts of the site piece by piece, so until they're done, it still has to be done in IE.
I take it people are dropping Firefox like a rock.
Firefox is the diesel fuel of the internet. I actually here's the thing, and Firefox's dev team might have a valid point if you question them as to what the fuck did you do to this browser. I actually wrote a post about this once, and I need to pull it up. Because
Twitter?
What's that?
On Twitter?
On Reddit.
Oh, Reddit. Okay.
So because there was a thread on Reddit about what happened to Firefox. It sucks big time now. And here's a post I wrote, which was based on, because I have multiple times gone into the Firefox.
Well, even on this show, well, before we went to Twitch, we were talking about I don't want to install Chrome, and everywhere I turn, the add-on that they were giving you for free was Chrome.
I mean,
which was totally annoying.
Chrome
is the thing, right?
Chrome is so much a thing that Microsoft basically developed their own version of Chrome. I mean, Edge is Chromium based, so it
is.
Yeah.
Aha.
Microsoft Edge is Chromium based.
Although Edge is garbage.
Well, so is Chrome, but
but we're using it, right?
Yeah, I have completely
better than Firefox.
I have moved off of Firefox completely after years and years of disappointment. So here's what so the topic on Reddit was what's happened to Firefox. It sucks big time now. And so I posted to it, the real problem with Firefox is how out of touch with the end user the development team seems to be. I've reached a point now where I was forced to install Chrome and actually open shutters, i.e., in order to complete certain tasks that Firefox no longer does or no longer does well. As an end user, development programming, what makes things work, is not something that is my problem or something that I understand. And to expect the end user to understand these things is unreasonable. The bottom line is, as an end user needs a product that works and works well to accomplish a task at hand. So when an end user goes to a chat room where Firefox developers are hanging out, explains to the developers the reasons for abandoning the product that has been used for years, and is met with lengthy explanations as to why they are unable to make a product that meets the end user's demands, it shows a disconnect. I'm sure the developer's reasons and problems are valid, but to just throw your hands up and expect the end user to just deal with it is ridiculous.
Well, see, this problem goes way back.
Well, let me finish.
Way back. It's the same problem. So at one point, the word processing software was WordPerfect. It did everything that anybody ever wanted. The problem is they could not keep up with the different printer demands. Because the thing about a word processor, you need to be able to print as expected to every goddamn printer that's out there. And they kind of failed on that. And then, of course, Microsoft came in with Word and just kind of took everything over.
Well, if Microsoft found a way to do it, WordPerfect could have, and they failed, and they deserve to die.
And they did failed.
Yeah.
They did.
You know, it could have been done,
right?
But they didn't.
But the other complication is that they struggled to make the conversion from a DOS-based program to a Windows-based program. That was probably the nail in the coffin that sunk that boat, a coffin boat.
Anyways, but the point is that what I reference here is that I have multiple times gone into like Mozilla supports IRC chat room where devs are hanging out and basically go, look it. I am an end user of Firefox. I have used it for years. If you care at all about the end users, let me tell you, I am uninstalling it, and this is why I'm uninstalling it. And if you can fix it, maybe I'll use it again. But you suck. You absolutely suck, and you need to be told that. And at some point, one of the devs gave me the analogy that using Firefox to do the things I was trying to do is like filling a gas tank of a standard car with diesel fuel. So yeah, basically Firefox has decided that, they're the diesel fuel of the internet now.
There you go.
They have basically thrown their hands up.
That's a useful analogy for some reason.
And I'm like, well, I don't understand how Firefox's dev team got to the point where they've decided we can't make a widespread use browser anymore, so we're just going to give up and be niche. Because they were one of the most, if not the most used browser for a number of years.
Absolutely. I still use it.
I gave up on it.
And when something like a few things, I kind of go, oh, I better use Chrome for that. But I'm used to that. I mean, there was a point where you used Internet Explorer. Okay, that doesn't work so well, so I'm going to have to use what's doing.
He's spelling free.
Yay! You see, you get what you pay for.
Well, here's the thing. I'm using Chrome, which is also free.
That's right.
So how come Google can make a free browser that meets my needs as an end user, but Firefox can't figure out how to do it?
Because Google tracks what you do, and they're actually very good at pushing ads at you. Did you get that? You get those ads for baby powder that I sent you via Google?
No, I block ads. Where did you send me ads?
I was just joking.
It's funny. You mentioned baby powder. That reminds me of a funny random story that has nothing to do with any of this. Back when I was working at the last job at Enternock or NL, my boss, his name was Nordine. Was. I'm going to come back to that. So Nordine, I got along with him well enough personally because hey, even my Fong and I were at each other's necks. We got along, well enough. I could come in, have a friendly hello, and I've always been good at that. Even though I was like at times like,
That's right. See, you're still friends with Dune.
Yeah,
and you're still friends with me.
Yeah, exactly. But I never ranted about you to someone else in the parking lot, though. Whereas my Fong, on the other hand, as you're well aware of, I ranted to a good co-worker friend in the parking lot many a time.
That's true. That is true.
Anyways, the point is so Nordine one day.
And didn't we have this third-party guy that was paranoid that somebody was talking about him while he wasn't there?
Well, that's because we were talking about him when he wasn't there.
Well, hey, why was that a problem, right?
Yeah, people gonna talk.
That's right.
That's okay. We all know
You
he
know,
was
if
talking.
they don't say your name, then you're not important.
You know, you and me, we talk about Nick. You and
Yeah,
Nick would talk about me, and me and
yeah,
Nick, we talk about you. So
of course.
it's all good. You know, it's all good. And then we compare notes. Except you can't compare notes with Nick, otherwise he's like, "Wait, so you talk about me when I'm not around?"
Exactly. Wait a
No,
minute. He makes more
no,
money than me?
I wouldn't know. Anyways, so Nordine was working, and he gets an email that a package arrived for him. So he goes downstairs, gets this Amazon package, opens it up, and it's 2 huge tubs of Desitin, which is like diaper rash baby cream. And he's like, "What the hell is this? Is this some kind of a prank or something?" Or and I thought to myself, that's a very random thing. That's a very random thing to just randomly get. There has to be an explanation for why you would get a package with 2 big ass tubs of diaper cream. And so he's like, "I'm throwing them out." I'm like, stash those away somewhere.
By the way, Dune, there is no C in neck. Let's talk about the right person.
Yeah, but so if I received a package at my work address with 2 big tubs of diaper cream, I'd stash that away for somewhere for at least a month before like trashing it or giving it away. But Nordine's like, "This has got to be a prank or something." I'm like, "I don't know. Prank is like a small thing of diaper cream to say you're a baby. 2 huge tubs of Desitin. There's an explanation there, and it's going to come out. You might want to hold on to that." He gave them away. He gave away the tubs to people, co-workers that had babies at home. And then like 4 or 5 days later, our co-worker in Brazil, Heverton, is on a call with Nordine. And during the call, he goes, "Oh, did he get my diaper cream? Can you bring that with you on your upcoming business trip?" He recently
Nice.
he recently had a baby, and it's cheaper to buy Desitin in the United States through Amazon than it is for him to buy it locally in Brazil. So he had these huge tubs of Desitin sent to Nordine so he could bring them to Brazil on his upcoming business trip. And I'm like, I told you to hold on to those. You gave them away. Now you have to replace them. I don't know what he did, but he felt bad about that.
Now you can play the dumbass music.
that guy, Nordine, was a dumbass.
You're a dumbass. You're a dumbass. You're grade A, number 1, bona fide, first class. You're a dumbass. You're a dumbass. And you'll be one all your dumbass life.
I take it he's saying tomato. Is that how you spell tomato?
No, that's how you spell tomato.
You've seen those ads, right?
For
It's
tomatoes?
Mark Hamlin and Jean-Luc Picard, whatever you call it, Patrick Stewart,
There you go.
and there's a bunch of ads for. Is it Geico?
I'm not recalling this off the top of my head.
Anyway, so they're having kind of a battle in a warehouse, and one of the gags is tomato versus tomato.
Okay.
It's pretty funny. There's a whole series of them. There's one where they're playing, the game Battleship.
Right.
They're playing Battleship. It's funny. It's funny.
So
Of
Dune
course, you
is,
just watch everything on YouTube and you don't get that.
Dune is pointing out a preemptive email would have fixed that.
Exactly, man.
And okay, Heverton. Here's the thing. Yeah, if I was having something shipped to someone, I would have sent an email about it. For all I know,
Yeah, heads up, this is coming.
You know what? For all I know, Heverton might have sent an email to Nordine about it, and Nordine just missed it going through the emails. I don't know for sure. And
Then
also,
the thing, you would think that a person would want a confirmation because, hey, by the way, I'm shipping you this thing. Would it be okay that you put that in the baggage on your flight
uh-huh.
and haul that shit around? Right?
Well, now Dune is also going, you should have just said, hey, it did not show up, except that the front desk signed for all the packages that were delivered. So he would have been
What country
blaming.
was he sent it to?
Well, it was delivered to our headquarters here in Boston, in the United States, but he
But
was
where
going
was
to.
it, or where was your order placed?
Well, the order was placed by Heverton from Brazil, but through the United States Amazon site.
Oh, it's going to Brazil ultimately. But he was in Brazil when he ordered it, right?
Heverton
Which
from Brazil
means
went to the
he
United
went through
States.
a VPN so that Amazon would accept the order, right?
I don't know.
Because when you're overseas and you log into Amazon USA and you go to place an order, it says, "Go screw you. You're not in this country."
I've ordered through other countries' Amazon sites. I've ordered from France's Amazon site and from the UK Amazon site
delivery
multiple times.
to the United States.
Yeah,
but that's different because you're here.
I don't know how he did it, but he ordered through Amazon and had it delivered to Boston so that Nordine could fly it to. Let's see. So a $50 bag fee is okay to haul.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was just 2 tubs of Desitin. It would have fit in his carry-on, or it would have gone in his checked bag. It wouldn't require an extra bag to haul the Desitin. It's not like it was a barrel of Desitin. It was a tub.
So I would have replied, so there's a couple of pairs of underwears that I won't be wearing.
Anyways, but I do have to say, speaking of Nordine, working at my current job lately has been great because my supervisor is really good. I could talk to him bluntly and tell him what I think about things, and it's just a conversation between me and him. And he, if I go to him, well, this is a problem because of that, or this needs to happen for that, he's like, oh, let me go. And my next one-on-one with my supervisor, I'll bring that up, and I'll see what I could do to help with that. And there's nothing like working a job that's completely dysfunctional where you have a supervisor that just doesn't give a shit about your needs. To really appreciate when you're working for a supervisor that actually helps you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you had some issues in your last job where you didn't have a very cooperative supervisor.
No, Nordine would. Let me. I mean, we had problems all the time.
I know we don't have to rehash that. I mean, it just wasn't perfect. Let's just put it that way.
I went to him, and he would laugh and say, "We'll deal with it." And it's like,
that's not a response, a good response from a manager, and I agree with that.
Oh, okay. Dune pointing out that a big tub of Desitin wouldn't work on a carry-on. Because gels and liquids are only 3-ounce containers,
right?
Or 4, or something like that. So, but Nordine was traveling on a business trip to Brazil, so he was going to be checking a bag, so he could put the Desitin in the checked bag. He was going to have to check a bag. Not to mention, it was a company business trip, so they're paying the expenses.
Did he order some replacements so that he could take it with him?
I don't know. I never cared enough to find out what he did.
You have known enough, right?
Yeah. But I will say I did have one good time with Nordine because we went to what was it, that Microsoft convention that they have down in Florida,
Orlando.
And Dune also pointing out the same thing I pointed out, but he mentioned it before me. Oh wait, that's free. The company pays for it. Never mind. It's free.
Free.
Speaking of things that are free, One thing I will say about Enternock is Enternock was very good about paying whatever you submitted on expense report. No wonder they ended up having to sell to another entity. But and I was not one to abuse this, but Nordine, oh my God. So they had this Microsoft event down in Florida. It was Microsoft. What was it called? But it was there's like. It was one of these things that you had to, your company paid for to send you there, and you get a badge, and they had all these like classes and educational things, and you pick and choose which one. And,
like a convention.
Well, yeah, it was a convention, and it was an amazing convention, and they went all out. Like they actually, what was it? It was Universal Studios. Microsoft actually reserved Universal Studios for an evening. And opened it, and so
So this was Microsoft's convention,
right? And so
big money behind it. Yep.
And so like the last night we go into Universal Studios. All the rides are free. All the food stands are foods, drink, beer free. All you could eat, all you can drink. All the rides just open up, general admission. It was amazing, absolutely amazing, and of course. Now, I knew that Nordine and I would be going together. So I wanted to book rooms at the same motel or hotel so that way we could share Ubers easily to get to the convention center. So I'm like, hey, Nordine, let me know when you book your room so I can book a room at the same place. That way we can kind of coordinate things, because there's no reason for us to be, on different sides. Well, he waited till like the week before the convention to book a room.
And the rooms were all gone.
Except for this really expensive resort place that had like suites. And so we basically...
So you got into a suite together.
We could have, but he booked a suite and he said, yeah, just book yourself a suite there. So we each, like I booked this room. It had 2 rooms and a hot tub room and, and a living room. And I mean, it was we both could have stayed in a suite together and had our own rooms, but I didn't like this guy that much.
Right.
And Windows 10 Pro licenses are $500 each. Yep, free beer. You gotta get it back somehow. So the company I work for paid a lot of money for their Windows licenses, so I did my part to get their money back by drinking it back.
Right.
So yeah, we flew out to Florida. We stay each in our own suites. We could have brought hookers back to those suites.
So what did you learn while you were there?
Well, I learned there was this really good one that I got in that there was like a list to get in that you had to sign up for because it was really popular with these Microsoft experts about tips and tricks of creating an image, which was really interesting because everything else I went to really demonstrated how Microsoft was shifting away from images. And then they had like these 2 old timers that are talking about all the tips and tricks of building an image. So it was very much out of step with the rest of the convention, but a lot of people went there. And what I gathered from it is Microsoft...
You're still using images, right?
Well, SCCM is a very different type of imaging process. It's more like building a set of instructions that builds that SCCM, you're really building an imaging process that then runs when you image a computer. It's not like a core image that is deployed onto a machine so much as a set of instructions and installers that run automatically, like an automated process to set up a machine rather than deploying an image. But Microsoft was looking to even get a step beyond that. Microsoft's vision was that through like system policies and cloud-based things that you could get to a point where you order a brand new laptop, you add like the serial number code of that laptop into your SCCM system ahead of time, have the laptop delivered directly to the end user. The end user opens up the laptop, signs in, and it automatically checks into your SCCM, pulls down all the policies, pulls down all the software, and basically sets itself up for the end user. No imaging required. The install that's on there is on there, and it just, and
There's only one flaw in the plan, right?
reality.
Yeah.
We've not quite gotten there yet, and this was years ago. I went to this convention, but that was the theme I was seeing of where, and I mean they're working there. They're getting their way there.
Right.
I mean, we're getting more and more cloud based.
One flaw in the plan that's going to happen, and that is you get your laptops delivered, but because somebody tested positive for COVID, you can't get to it.
Yeah.
How do you get to that the serial number?
Dune is going. They call that a Chromebook.
Right.
So, anyways, that was because being that my area of interest in advancing my career was getting more into the automation and SCCM end of things. I pretty much attended a lot of SCCM and install based things. I did go to a few security based things as well and learned a bit about their security tools but that was the majority.
Interesting thing about Chromebook, actually I was just reading up on this because I could care less about Chromebook.
Right.
Is they're essentially applying the Microsoft model. Let's write software, because Chromebook is mostly an operating system based on Linux. So let's make software. We won't even make the hardware for it. We'll use third parties. So they'll use ASUS, they'll use this, that, and the other thing to build the hardware. And then it's sold in that way. Where in the back end, someplace in Magic Land, Chrome is making a pile of money,
right,
whilst the hardware manufacturer is making money on his hardware.
So the point is, while we're in Florida on this business trip, all meals are expensed. So and a precedent that was set by Internoc was that it's okay to do a few leisure things and expense those as well. So Nordine calls me up and says, "Hey, Johnny, feel like going on a helicopter ride?" I'm like,
way to go.
So we went on a helicopter ride, and he expensed it. And then we went out for drinks at this place that the Uber driver recommended, and I think he expensed that night too.
Sure.
And that was great. We're hanging out at the bar, and there's dancing going on there, and we're having different.
What's actually
drinks.
really funny is that the IRS has some very strict rules on what's a deductible expense, and most companies kind of go with that.
Well, all I know is Nordine submitted an expense with our drinks and helicopter ride on it, and he was reimbursed.
Right.
But then we went out for a steak dinner at a fancy steakhouse. He said, "Can you pay for this one and put this one in your expense report to try to spread out the expenses?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay,
Right.
I'll pick up this meal." So get some Amazon points.
That was a bill for the two of you then?
Yeah.
And how much was that?
Oh, I forget, but it was expensive. It was a very nice steakhouse. It was,
Probably over 100.
Oh, easily
200.
maybe around there. I don't know.
Did you have expensive drinks to go with it?
Oh yeah, we drank
Okay, so it could have been easily 200.
easily. But
Sweet.
so the one night we go to this bar and we're hanging out there, and this cute blonde starts chatting both of us up, although she was chatting Nordine up more than me because I was wearing the ring, and I think she picked that up pretty early because she spent more time chatting up Nordine. She's like, and she's like, can you guess why I'm newly divorced? My husband's a pilot. And I said, flight attendant? And she goes, yep, he got it. And so apparently her recently ex-husband was banging the flight attendant. And
she wasn't the flight attendant.
No.
But her husband was getting on with one.
Right. And so she was,
Right.
and she was looking for people to dance with, and Nordine didn't feel like dancing, and so she's like, "Hey, can you dance with me?" I'm like, I'm no dancer," but and she's chatting up Nordine the whole night. She chatted me up a little bit, just conversation, but like I said, I got the ring on, so I thought for sure Nordine was bringing this chick back to his suite. I thought because we're getting to the point where Nordine's like, "Hey, it's getting late. What do you think we get out of here?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, "All right, we'll finish up these drinks. We'll go." So I finish up the drink. He finishes up the drink. I turn to him and say, "We going?" He goes, "Why don't you go without me? She wants me to stay a little longer." I'm like, I said, okay, all right, okay, I'll. So I got out of there, called an Uber, got back to the place. Next morning, I asked Nordine, "Hey, how was the rest of your night?" He goes, "Why?" I'm like, "Oh, just asking." He's like, No, I stayed there a little longer. You came back to your suite alone?" I still don't know. I think he brought her back to his place. I don't. I didn't see her the next morning slipping out. But I wasn't watching his suite door, so I don't. But yeah, we had fun.
Do you think she was a local?
Oh yeah. Dune writing in, by the way, Firefox 89 mil incoming year, Google 34 billion. Why Chrome gets up well, you know what? That's not my problem as the end user. That really, I mean, Firefox had their opportunity. They had the dominant product for a period of time. Google figured out how to build something bigger. Firefox figured out how to become diesel fuel. I mean, that's the bottom line. And I mean,
well, it's like I met a guy that was a contractor that they did SAP installs. Now, most companies go with the big firm, Price Waterhouse, or at one time Anderson Cooper and all that kind of stuff, and it's very expensive. Well, these guys were experienced and they were really good. We weren't actually bringing them on for that. But they would lose out to bids for the big outfits, the big consulting firms. And the bottom line reason was because, say, a Price Waterhouse is big enough to sue if things go wrong. Whereas these little guys, you can't sue them because they don't have anything.
All right. I mean, and I guess I see Dune's point here. Google was a bigger company. They got in on that search engine thing. They had more money to work with. And really what Google did was they said, well, here's this market that other people have. We have a whole bunch of money. Let's steal the market from them. But on the other hand, Firefox goes back to Netscape.
For sure it does. For sure it does.
This browser's been around for a long time.
Is with Chrome being out there and Microsoft is kind of going along, eventually what's going to happen with the Windows product?
With what Windows product?
Windows 10.
Windows
if
10
we're going to
Windows
replace
10.
these computers, this guy, this guy's a Windows 10 computer. When I replace it, will it be replaced with a Chrome computer or a Chromebook?
And doing going, yeah, they Walmart at Firefox. But here's the thing: if Firefox
Walmart, you mean I could buy it at Walmart?
But the thing is Firefox dropped here. I tried to stay loyal to Firefox. Firefox's product went inferior, plain and simple.
Oh, did you do you have the product loyal like you did with Yahoo email? Which, by the way, you also were not paying for?
I used Yahoo email as long as I could tolerate it. And because it was a pain in the ass.
Because it was free.
Well, so was Gmail. But I stuck with my Yahoo account until Yahoo kept badgering me with nag things to use their app. I didn't want to use their app, but
that has gone away.
Every time, well, it's too late. I made the transition. I'm not transitioning back.
So you only have one email address.
Let me tell you, you
only have one email address, right? Is that what you're saying?
I have.
And you're an IT guy.
Brian, shut up.
So what happened this morning?
Let me answer
when
the
Google
question.
Went down. What
Let me
happened when Google went down this morning?
Can I answer the question? I haven't answered your question. You asked me if I only have one email account. Of course I don't have only one email account.
So you didn't drop the Yahoo account. You're lying.
I have one primary email account.
Yeah.
And I transitioned from Yahoo being my primary account to Gmail being my primary account.
Oh, okay.
I have like...
So you didn't really drop it. You're just not using it as frequently.
But let me tell you, it's not a good idea to hold on to old email accounts for too long. Because? Well, I recently had to have a bit of a tussle with NetZero because my NetZero email account got hacked.
People still use NetZero?
I forgot I had a NetZero email address.
Right.
But I received an email that got to my Yahoo email account, which forwarded to my Gmail account, telling me that I had changed the password on my NetZero account. And I hadn't changed the password on my NetZero account. So I said, uh-oh, my NetZero account got hacked. So I go to the NetZero site and try to do the password reset process, and it wouldn't let me reset the password. So I called up their customer support. NetZero's customer support will not help you unless you pay them $25. And the fuck I was going to pay $25 for an email account that I hadn't used in a decade.
So the NetZero account, did you still have it in use on any internet site?
I never signed up for a site with a NetZero account, but I didn't know if I still had emails contained in that account, and I didn't know if it being hacked compromised me in any way. So I wanted to get in and see what was in there just to kind of get an idea of what happened. And it took me 2 weeks to get NetZero support to help me reset my password, and it required reporting them to the Better Business Bureau to get them to actually pay attention to me.
Oh, there you go. See, you had a solution.
Yeah. Yeah, so finally they called me, and they said, well, we're calling back to follow up. I'm like, wait a minute, this is the first time you've called me. What do you mean you're calling back to follow up? Well, sir, we couldn't find your email address. You mean we couldn't find your phone number? What, you mean the phone number that I included in the form I submitted asking for help? Well, we had to contact our corporate office to figure out how to contact you. I'm like, whatever. Can you get my password reset? Yeah, what's your mother's maiden name? That's all they needed from me to know that they were talking to the right guy and reset my password.
So they did do it eventually.
I think a Google search would turn up my mother's maiden name. It's a pretty common name. It ain't Smith, but it ain't that hard to find. It's
but, probably in the mid 80s, the Johnsons outnumbered the Smiths.
Let me do an experiment here. Give me 3 to 5 common last names, and I'll tell you if you would have guessed my mother's maiden name in that group.
Okay, so Smith is out. Johnson is out.
Mm-hmm.
Becker or Baker. Let me ask you this. Is it related to some kind of an occupation, like Smith is an occupation or Baker is an occupation?
I don't think so. No, you know what? We're not going to play this game because then at some point I'm going to have to nod my head yes. I thought you just rattle off 5 common names. I go, yeah, it's one of those.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. Well, I was starting down the direction of names that would be
actually maybe it's not occupation. Maybe it's on the second level of common because it ain't a Smith, Johnson, or Jones or something like that, but it is a fairly common.
But it's not Vietnamese like Nguyen, which is like everybody, or Chinese where everybody's name is Lee, or Japanese where everybody's name is what is everybody's name in Japanese? Hitachi.
Okay. Anyways, so the point is that I still had a NetZero email account I hadn't used in over a decade that got hacked, and basically the person just used it to send out emails through a script, and like NetZero detected it shortly after it happened and locked down my email account.
Oh, so it was locked down anyway. Yay.
Yeah, and I went in there and they didn't like delete anything, and so there was a lot of spam in there and a lot of stuff that there was nothing useful I kept in there. It's just that it was a really old account that I used a pretty simple password that was used multiple times back then.
Then after
that got in a database.
Did you delete the account?
Yes, I deleted the account. After I was done, I said delete that account. And
Good idea.
Yeah.
Because I think I may still have a NetZero account, so I probably should delete it as well.
Yeah, I signed up for it because
on this show we do actually learn something.
I signed up for it.
I will save that for the end, which is 10 minutes away.
I signed up for it to get 10 free hours a month because Juno kept bumping me off, and then they merged.
Do you think? Oh, Juno and NetZero, yeah. Because I have a Juno account as well, and
I have 20.
I think my CompuServe account does no longer exist.
Probably not.
Right, and my Protege account does no longer exist. I do know people that still use their AOL account.
But the point is I have
a friend of mine never said anything, but suddenly he is no longer using an AOL account. I am assuming that he still has one.
But the point is I have multiple email accounts. Most of them are Gmail accounts, but I have the Yahoo account still. But I have one primary account that is my primary account I use for most personal purposes. And that's my Gmail account now. And I would have stuck with the Yahoo account. I'd still be using the Yahoo account today. But for months I was tolerating every time I went to check my email, a nag thing would pop up that wanted me to basically set a setting on my Yahoo account that would only let Yahoo's phone app check email, claiming it as a security feature. And I said no. And I wanted that no to be permanent. But there was no way to make it stop doing that. So after months and months of this, I said, that's it, Yahoo! Fuck you! Fuck you, Yahoo! Fuck you! And they fucked themselves. They drove me away.
And they don't really care because you know what they're earning out of that? Nothing.
Well, now they're definitely earning nothing because I stopped using it.
The thing that I find interesting is that even from the beginning, the links to ads pretty much sucked. It's like, how did you get there from here? Where Google actually is not too bad. Although I think currently the Google searches are not that good because they're putting more on what they think you're searching for rather than what you're actually saying. You know what I'm saying? Anyways. So I'm starting to use, I've been for a while, DuckDuckGo.
I'll have to check that out.
Because they don't even track the crap you're searching for. So if you're looking for a left-handed banana, you're not going to see ads for a left-handed banana, whatever a left-handed banana is.
Well, sometimes sometimes it feels more like a stranger if you use your less dominant hand to wax your banana. So that. But
I didn't really want to go there.
Well, Nick made a mistake once of giving me a perfect opening for a punchline, and you know me, it doesn't matter how tasteless it is. If you set me up, I'm knocking it down. And Nick and I had something in common. We were both raised Catholic. And I think he talked about, back in the day, the nuns would forbid you from using your left hand. They would be the type that
in fact you both went to Catholic school, not just that you were Catholic, but you went to Catholic school.
Right. And Dune has a story about that he's told at times where, but yeah, the nuns would, if you were left-handed, the nuns would do things like move the pencil to your right hand, tie your left hand behind your back. And I think part of that goes back to is that what Satan was left-handed, or the left hand is the hand of temptation or something like that. And so when Nick, kind of rattled off that little tidbit, I looked at him, I paused for a moment, and I said, but that's not the hand I use for that. And
but when when Eve reached for the apple in the garden, she used her left hand.
Okay,
I'm sure of it.
So there's evil tied to the left hand in Catholicism.
Sure.
And so I mean, that was just such the perfect punchline. But I don't use my left hand for that. And Nick did not appreciate the humor in that line. He did not. He was like, I didn't need to know that.
Right. It's hilarious.
Yeah. See, you appreciated the humor of that.
Sure.
Nick did not appreciate the humor.
Well, there is one major religion that tells you which hand to wipe your butt with.
Well, that's more for hygiene. And that's why it's considered impolite to shake hands with your left hand in some cultures, because that's the shit hand. You don't want to. Right. Someone offers you the shit hand, that's repulsive.
But nowadays, why are we even shaking hands at all?
Well, yeah, this is pre-2020.
Right.
Man. And anyways, but to wrap it up, I lament what Firefox has become, and I try to continue using it long after its functionality degraded. But it reached a point
for typical things. I don't have a problem with Firefox.
More and more.
What is the big thing that fails in Firefox? Let me ask you that.
Well, I mean, in general, it's more clunky and crashes more than Chrome. It was crashing on me multiple times. It was slowing down and freezing up multiple times.
What kind of website are you in that it crashes?
I can't look at. I'm
asking a question because I don't see crashes with Firefox.
I you know what? I switched off of it like over 6 months ago now, so the specifics are a little hazy. I just know in general the performance was poor on it. But like for example, there are features it didn't have. For example, using StreamYard, if I go into the cam mic settings and I go under audio, it lets me set a specific mic setting and a specific speaker setting.
Sure.
On Firefox, if I go into StreamYard, it only lets me custom set one of those. The other one, it ties to the default computer setting. And when I complain to StreamYard about it...
Was it Team Talk wouldn't even let you use Firefox? I forgot.
Team Talk is a separate program. It was Google Hangouts.
Google Hangouts quit working on it altogether.
Google Hangouts quit working on it altogether. And
which, of course, are we still using the Google Hangouts anymore?
Well, Google trashed Hangouts. But before Google Hangouts was trashed,
yeah.
Google Hangouts was the reason Google Chrome even got installed on this computer.
Which is why I installed it, but I continue to use Firefox for everything else.
And I did that
for other things I use with Firefox, and I have no problem. I don't see a speed issue.
I got tired of going back and forth between two browsers, and every time I had a problem with something in Firefox, that was another thing I would do in Chrome. And I reached a point where I decided, you know what? Chrome is just better. It performs better. It works better. It doesn't give me the problems.
Well, I'm not gonna argue that case. Because you're right. Sure.
And when I went to Firefox's dev team to basically say, look, you got a real problem here, and I gave them all the specific examples, everything I was seeing, and they came back and said, well, it's like trying to run a regular car on diesel fuel. Our browser is tailored for. I'm like, well, you're tailoring your browser for less end users, and you're losing your customer. Look at
Incognito tab.
Oh yeah, that is useful, and that is useful functionally for work-related purposes, because I have an admin login and a normal login, and usually your logins get cached or things like that. So if I ever need to log into a system with my admin account, I open an incognito tab so it doesn't try to automatically log me in with the login that I'm already logged into my email with. Incognito's a tab is a useful feature
Okay.
for more reasons than hiding porn. But,
Right. Right.
But yeah. I mean, but like I said, and here's the thing. I tried to have a conversation with Firefox's developers and tried to open up a dialogue like, is there anything you can do to fix this? Is there anything you can do to improve this? And when they came back with, well, that's just not what our browser's for. It's like trying to run a regular car with diesel fuel.
You to somebody else.
I mean, if their own development team is going to compare their product to diesel fuel, basically Firefox's dev team told me, dude, stop using our browser. And so that was Dune pointing out he never said the P word. Whatever. We know what you were alluding to. But anyways, basically Firefox's dev team told me to stop using it. And so I was like, fine, you won't get any arguments from me here. You know, fine, I'm done. I'll go Chrome. That's you know, where I've been, because it's just it works. It works.
It was the good old days. You go to some store and you ask, "Oh, do you have such and such?" And they'll go, "Oh, go to Radio Shack for that." Kind of the same thing, right?
Right,
Go
except
to somebody else.
And that's fine if that's an honest answer. But I was, you know, going to a dev team about a product that I used to like, and there were things about it I liked, and I wanted to support them. And, you know, so they weren't trying to help me by telling me to go to Chrome. They were basically being dismissive of their end users by saying, well, go fucking use Chrome.
Did they actually suggest Chrome?
No, I don't think they suggested it by name. I was the one that was comparing it to Chrome. So I was basically saying Chrome because that was what I had to compare it to.
Decision then. Right.
You know, I basically said, look, Chrome performs better. It's not giving me these problems I'm having. It's got these functionality things that you're missing. And they basically said, well, we're diesel fuel. You know?
Right.
So fine, you're going to be diesel fuel, be diesel fuel. But one thing we are...
And maybe what they were saying, we're diesel fuel, just light it up.
But on that note, we have reached the end of another fun-filled edition.
Oh, hey, have you seen this weird...
Insert title here.
What's that?
On the Discovery Channel, where they're taking Christmas items, and it's one of these competition game show silly things, where you have like the first round is like a Christmas tree, the second round is tin soldiers, and the third round is some other Christmas related option. And the idea is you take that item and you apply rockets to it, and you have some specific goals. So you have these Christmas trees shooting off.
Okay.
You know, they'll go 20, 30 feet up in the room. You know, one of the contests is for height. One is for distance. There's the North Pole or something you have to go to. And another one is you want to be the furthest from these Christmas packages.
And one is for quantity of shrapnel.
Right, no. But anyway, it's a weird show. This was on the other day. It's like, okay.
Okay. So what have you learned this week?
Well, Chrome is better than Firefox. Oh, we already knew that. Oh, and to make sure that my what's that, the free whatever call that email account.
Make sure your net zero account.
Net zero account is deleted, and make sure that tomorrow is Tuesday.
There we go. and I have learned. What have I have learned that Dune still hasn't figured out how to spell Nick, but it's okay.
He knows now. See,
It's okay because it's like a
Dune was
tomato.
thinking of Saint Nick, which is Nick.
Saint Nicholas,
But-
which is Nich.
What?
Nicholas,
What?
Nicholas.
Well, but you just say Saint Nick, it's Nick.
Well, what
Right.
about if it's a New York Knicks? Then you got a K in
mean-
front of that, right?
Of course. And that's plural.
Right.
But of course, Nick's proper name is Nicholas, which is CH, but his nickname is Nick, Nik. But here's the thing. Since his birthday is in December sometime, he is actually named after Saint Nick,
Oh.
being that he's a Catholic. Did you
Of
know that
course.
before?
No, but it wouldn't have been hard for me to figure out.
Right.
That makes sense. And on that note, that puts another show to bed, but be sure to check out ADHD Radio tomorrow with Video Vamp and Kevin.
And we're ready
Chicken
for a
Fingers.
raid.
And we are ready for a raid. We got to start, sizing up some raidable channels here. So let's take a look at what's going on the lands of Twitch to find someone to raid here. So let's scroll down a bit here. Let's see. Sarah Jazz is hanging out in the Just Chatting. That's Just Chatting. That's Just Chatting. Let's see who's in the music.
Lord Grimm.
Lord Grimm is
Poppy
probably.
Tunes. That's the only ones I see other than us.
Yeah, let's see if there's someone that we haven't rated yet that's hanging out in the tunes. Let me see what we got here.
Thank you guys so much for hanging out.
Oh, so that sounds like a wrapping
I'm
it up.
glad you enjoyed it. Hopefully you did. If you did, I am back here on Thursday.
Okay, we're not going to raid someone that's just wrap it up. So let's check out who else. Let's see if there's anyone we haven't rated recently. Let's raid Poppy Tunes again. Let's just make sure that she's also not signing off, because I think she went live before I went live, so she might be nearing the end of her
grumpy.
stream.
Which is Die Hard. Yes, we'll be watching Die Hard on Christmas Eve.
Of course you would.
The most superior Christmas
At
movie
Internock,
out
they
there.
would run Die Hard on the TV in the IT
And then
area.
we also
Multiple
have a
times
gaming channel. We're
during
trying
the
to
holiday
get some games
season.
going. We're a pretty active Discord community, so if you want a place to come hang out,
This
I'll be
sound-
around on Twitch on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I'm not spending it with my family this
Oh, that
year,
sounds like a
so
wrapping
if
it
anyone
up.
needs anyone to spend Christmas with, I'll be around.
That sounds like she's wrapping up.
We can sing songs, watch movies,
Or is she going to sing another song?
pretend like 2020 isn't happening. And for anyone who is new to my stream, we sing DuckTales at least once every stream. If you would like to be able to request DuckTales, you'll need to use your Poppy Seeds channel points, and then you can redeem, like James.
I think she's been on a while and she's getting ready to wrap up.
Channel
So
points, and then you can redeem, like James.
I think she's been on a while and she's getting ready to wrap up. All right, let's mute that. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to raid Lord Grimm, because I think Lord Grimm tends to start around the time we wrap up. So we'll go ahead and do that. And it's always good to get some, Christmas shredding going on.
Yeah.
So enjoy Lord Grimm, and we'll be back here next week. And
Okay,
Good.
see you, boy. See you, buddy.
there we go. 5, 4, 3, and we'll send you over there. And good night. And we have rated.
All right.
raided it with a party of 2, so it might not even show up. But we did it. That's all that matters. Oh, no, it showed it. Yay, tiny raid. Oh, and you left.